here he was, this wealthy celebrity doing what so many other criminals have done in the past. I've covered over 220 or so police pursuits, and you're right. He
Mm.
was just reduced to a common criminal.
Okay, I'm going to have to interrupt this call. I understand we're going to go to a live picture in Los Angeles. Police believe that OJ Simpson is in that car.
Well, that was how the news broke on the 17th of June 1994 on CNN of what became surely the most famous ever televised car chase. It involved a 45-minute standoff between police and OJ Simpson, who died yesterday. The TV coverage with helicopters following the chase, and by the way, there were loads of them, loads of helicopters, 22 following the chase, gripped millions of people around the world, tens of millions, in a landmark event for 24-hour news channels, which were then in their infancy. Here's a bit more of how CNN describes what was happening.
And all the overpasses that we've seen have been lined with cars and pedestrians overhanging, watching as the presumed vehicle of O.J. Simpson is still traveling very slowly northbound along the 5 freeway.
Well, Zoey Tur was the first helicopter pilot to locate O.J. Simpson in his car and begin live coverage, and she's with us on the programme. Hi, Zoey.
Hi, good morning.
Really good to speak to you. I'm so aware that we are reflecting the story of a man who was supposed to hand himself in on 2 murder charges, and it became one of the biggest ever televised events in the history of the world. And so there is something sort of exciting about that fact, but also at its heart is something awful and difficult. I want to ask, first of all, though, how you knew to deploy and how you knew where to find O.J. Simpson.
I was down at Parker Center, LAPD headquarters, waiting for O.J. Simpson to turn himself in. And I was with about 150 members of the media when a lieutenant in press relations announced that O.J. Simpson had not turned himself in and that he was in the wind. And that meant he was a fugitive. So, after I got over that initial shock, I, got into the helicopter, started the engine and talked to the crew. And we started talking about where OJ might go. And I thought he would go down to the Orange County area, to the graveside of Nicole Simpson Brown. So I flew down there. It only took about 20, 23 minutes, which is normally a 60-minute car drive south of Los Angeles. And I got down to the gravesite, and what I saw was nothing. OJ didn't show up down there. There was an undercover police unit standing by, but no OJ. Just a matter of minutes later, I heard on the FBI frequencies that OJ Simpson's white Bronco had been triangulated using his cell phone transmissions to the area of the El Toro Y. It's an intersection of 2 freeways in Orange County. And that's exactly where I was. I looked through the bottom of the helicopter, the chin bubble of the helicopter was flying, and I saw a white Bronco. And then I saw the first sheriff's unit, the second sheriff's unit, California Highway Patrolman, one unit after another. So, with the flip of the switch, we were on the air live. The whole world was watching, and the rest was history.
Wow. How did you become aware that the world was watching? Was it obvious to you at the time in the helicopter that nearly 100 million people eventually tuned in for this thing?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought it was going out on the network, and I thought maybe 20 million, but I was shocked to hear that it was over 95 million that watched it live, and then hundreds of millions more uh, around the world after it was distributed by Reuters television service around the world. So I'm glad I didn't know.
Well, yeah, indeed. I was going to say, this is one of the TV moments of ever, basically. One sort of thought I had on this, actually, was about whether the car chase really became one of the greatest signals of OJ Simpson's downfall. Because to my mind, it is almost like a great leveler. Because in the car chase, he became like a petty criminal in many ways. So this was the NFL star, you know, the culmination, if you like, of his fall from grace was the fact that he was doing what many, many other criminals do. They hop in their car and drive to try to get away.
It's a great observation, and it's true. Indeed. He tried to get away, um, and it didn't work, and he was caught. And that was the most surreal moment for me was watching O.J. Simpson, um, traveling down the freeway, a man that had golfed with presidents, a guy that was beamed into our homes with Hertz commercials and at the movie theaters with the Naked Gun series. And here he was, this wealthy celebrity doing what so many other criminals have done in the past. I've covered over 220 or so police pursuits. And you're right. He was just reduced to a common criminal.
One of the other questions I was desperate to ask Zoe is around the logistics of this. I noted there were 22 helicopters in the air, and it's worth saying you were the first to find him and to sort of engage in the pursuit and the filming of the pursuit. How on earth do 22 helicopters negotiate coverage of a car chase like this?
We stagger our altitude. So when I got there first, I took the low position and then we stack. We move, and the next helicopter may be 150 feet above us, and so on and so forth. So you see this, rising staircase, if you will, of helicopters. We also had fixed wing aircraft doing traffic reporting. So despite all that, it was absolutely ridiculous and dangerous. It was like flying through an aerial dogfight at some points when others wanted to, get down below and stuff. So, we did our best, and fortunately, nothing happened. But it was dangerous.
Zoe, the danger, the surreal nature of it, and as we say, the kind of great leveling of this star. You were the person who brought it to the world. Thank you very much for speaking to us this morning.
Of course, thank you for having me.
It's great to have you on. That's Zoey Tur, the first helicopter pilot to locate O.J. Simpson's car and begin that live coverage, which in the end was watched by hundreds of millions of people. And as we're observing this morning, a huge moment for TV news coverage. This was kind of the infancy of 24-hour news coverage. And if you were around at the time, or if you've heard stories since, you'll be fully aware that basically every minute of those 24 hours was devoted to O.J. Simpson, for months and years after as the trial unfolded, and people were glued. This cemented the place of 24-hour TV coverage in our lives, really.